everyone, it's Caroline here from Aussie Cards and Crafts, and thank you for joining me today. Today is the 29th of December 2021, so we've just come out of Christmas and I haven't had a chance to put any tutorials up for the last 2 or 3 weeks, so this is my first one back. I'm still on annual leave at the moment, so I'll do a couple more while I'm on annual leave, and then I'll have to go back down to maybe only 1 a week or 2 a week, depending on how I go. Just before Christmas though, what I did receive in the mail was these beautiful, beautiful dies. Dies and stamps actually. And I called them adorable puppies. They're just absolutely stunning. I just fell in love with them as soon as I saw them. And right over the Christmas period, I've been thinking about how am I going to best, put them in a card and show you. So what I've done is, this is my prototype. So you'll see that this isn't, it's got writing on it, and it should have paper back there, and a matte layer back there, etc. But this was my prototype. This was as I was designing it, and what I'd like to do today is to show you how to make this card. I'm going to change a few things. Obviously, when you first go off and do something, you quite often change it on your next one. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. It's got quite a few different techniques in it. Obviously this, I don't know whether you can see, but the bricks there are actually done with an embossing folder, and I use ink on the embossing folder. The beautiful little doggies that are there, the puppies, I've actually done those on this card. I did them with coloured pencils. So as you can see, you've got your window, and as it stands up, you can actually see that you can't even see that. You can actually see that it stands like that, and you can actually see them looking through the window. I've put another puppy there. And then inside, I've got a second card, and you lift that up. I'm going to put a greeting on my one there, and I'm going to put another puppy down there. So these were all coloured with coloured pencils. The ones that I've done today, I've actually done with my Copics markers. And yeah, I just love them. I think they are so cute and so adorable. So let's get started. As I said, there are a few things that I'm going to be doing different to this card, but I think you'll like it in the end. So let me go through firstly the supplies that I'm using. Firstly, there's the Adorable Puppies stamp and die set. New to me, it arrived on Christmas Eve. I think I've got about 6 of them there, or maybe 5 now because I've used one. But yeah, they're $25, and they are available on my website at www.aussiecardsandcrafts.com.au. So they're not up there right at this moment, but by the time I post this onto YouTube and you get to have a look at the tutorial, they will be on there. You'll also need some kind of window die. Now, it's entirely up to you. See what you've got in your stash. This one is a window and window box. I've just used that particular window. It's quite a common die. I don't have it for sale on my website, and I don't even know where I got it. What actually happened was, when I first started doing cards again, I got all these dies and I took them out and put them into folders, not like this. And of course that didn't work very well for me, but I actually got rid of all the packaging for them, so I don't know where a lot of these are from. But if you've got some windows, even just plain windows, if you haven't got that, maybe you can cut yourself out your own window with your own panes of glass coming through. I'm also using a embossing folder for this part of the card, and you'll see that this one is bricks. Okay, so once again, if you haven't got bricks but you've got something else that will make do, well then that's fine. Or if you've got some paper that looks like bricks or looks like a wall of some kind, you could use that as well. So there's the embossing folder, and I'll show you how we're going to use that one in a moment. I'm also on this one going to because I think this was only a trial anyway, I'm going to have some greenery coming down as if there is a tree coming over, okay, because they're looking out the window, and I'm going to somehow do it that way. And then, yeah, I just think that would be nice. The other thing that I am doing is I am using that colour for my window, which will then match in. Now this card here, this is beautiful. It's got a beautiful shimmer on it. It is actually a Romanesque copper, and there's got lots and lots of different colours in it. It's a beautiful card. It's 250 GSM, available on the website, and please go and have a look at it because the colours are just stunning and it's so easy to work with. I don't know whether the camera is actually picking up the shine that is in there, but it really is a beautiful card. So that is something else that I'm doing a little bit differently. So let's get started. I'll give you all of the measurements of the things that oh, by the way, the paper on this one, what I did or didn't do, I was so keen to get it put together to see if it worked. That was supposed to have a piece of card there to represent it being like a wallpaper in the background. I didn't do it there, so that will be done on this one as well. And I got that from a Kaisercraft paper pad. It's 6.5-inch paper pad, and it's called the Lake House. And you can see that there's a few there that you could actually use as like wallpaper backing of a room. So even this one just here, I thought might, where is it? I thought that one actually might work. That one's very similar to the one that I've got in my bedroom actually. So yeah, so that's the paper pad that I used. So I'll get my cutting board out so I can give you the measurements of all the pieces that you need. Your base card is going to be 12 inches by 5 inches. Okay, so that's 12 inches by 5 inches. And along the 12 inch, you are going to need to score at 6 inches. Okay, so just score down there. It is going to be a top fold card, so you just fold that in half. And obviously burnish that nicely. You will need to burnish it again later because you've got to do some other things to it, but there's your first piece. The second piece is your matte layer, which is the Romanesque copper paper, and the size of that is going to be, let me have a little look, that is going to be 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. The next piece on top of that is going to be the layer that you're going to actually run through with your embossing folder and ink. So that one is going to be 4.5 by 5.5. Okay. Now inside you will also need a piece that is going to be 6 inches, and the width is going to be 4 3/4 inches. Now along the 6 inch side you will need to score at 1/2 inch because we're actually going to fold that in like so, and that is going to be the tab just here. So that is that part just there. So that's going to go inside. As you can see, it's slightly bigger than the other one, but that's fine. That's why I did it that way. There's a reason, and I can explain why in a moment. So that's the other piece. You also will need a piece of pattern paper, which is what I did forget to put on last time, and that is going to be 3.5 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Okay, and as I say, it doesn't have to be striped. It can be whatever you want. So they're the pieces that we need. Okay, let's get started. First off, we've got what we need to do is we need to use our top piece, which is our 5.5 inch by 4.5 inch. Now we also need our embossing folder, here. Now when you open it up, you will find one part of them, this being bricks. The bricks are raised on this side. They're actually indented on this side. Now because we want the ink to actually go onto the bricks themselves, not the parts, not the grout in between, we are going to place ink on this side, not on that side. You can do it either way, but for this particular project is how I'm actually going to do it. So what I'm going to use is a brushed corduroy. It's a Jim Holtz Distress ink, and I find the best way of doing it is to dab it. Okay, some people like to do that. Entirely up to you. I find that I get a little bit more ink on if I dab though, so maybe do a bit of both, and just go over making sure that all of those bricks are actually covered with some ink. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to use my little thing here because I don't want the edge of the card to have ink on it, so I'm just going to take any excess off. Okay, so here's my card. I'm going to be very careful how I lay this down, and once it's laid down, that's it, you can't move it. Okay, so be very careful not to put it down and take it up because that ink is already on there. Now for my machine, what I need is my base plate. I then need that on top, and I then need my rubber one, and on top of that I need another plate, and then I'm going to run that through the machine. Okay, I'll just pop these to one side for the moment. Need that one again. And as you will see, when we open up, our embossing folder, we now have ink on our piece. Now you'll see there's a little piece of white down there. I'm just going to trim that off. The other thing is I would make sure that you clean your embossing folders straight away afterwards. So I either use a microfiber cloth like this that just hangs over my light, or I did have a baby wipe here. Okay, so that can go to one side. Now what I will do is I am just going, oopsies, that's not going to help me. I am just going to trim off the excess just there. So it doesn't need to be much, but I don't want it white on one side. Okay, so there we go there. Right, what we now need to do is we now need to start, we use our window die, and we now need firstly to cut a hole in this. Okay, now when I cut this one, you can see I didn't do it very centrally, and it's entirely up to you. You might not be looking centrally at the house, but I think I would prefer it to be central. So using my ruler, I'm just going to measure to make sure that I do get it central. What I am going to do is I am going to tape that into place, okay, because it does need to run through the machine again, obviously, to cut that out. Right, so there's our window that we have actually cut out. Now we don't need that. That can go to one side. Now prior to putting the video on, I actually did, as I showed you before, I did actually cut another one of these out, and the reason I did that is just to save time, but you cut another one out in your back, same card as your backing, and you need to fit that in there. Now what you also then need to do, and I'll just get my cutting machine out the way, is once it's in there, you then tape it to make sure that it is in the right spot. And I'm only going to use washi tape to tape this because it's what I have available, and I think my sticky tape's out in the kitchen at the moment. So when we turn it over, you can see that our frame is now there. What we also now need to do is we now need to just layer this up to make sure. So this is going to go on here, but what we now need to do is, so you need to get it where it's going to go. So make sure that you've got lovely even borders around. Okay, about there. And what you need to do is you need to get a pencil, and you need to just go on the outside of that window all the way around, okay, because we want this piece here and this piece here to line up properly. And as you can see, you should be able to see the marks there. Now I always use a blade and a metal knife for this. Entirely up to you. Some people do use their cutting boards, but if you're using a blade, I would suggest, because you need this to be a little bit bigger than this what you've cut here, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut just to the left hand side of this. So I don't want to be cutting with my ruler like that, because I won't know where to stop and start. But if I cut here, I can see that that's where I've got to go from, and that's where I've got to go to, and it just makes it an awful lot easier. So I'll speed up while I do this, but I'm just going to take this whole square out. So if I show this to you, you'll actually hopefully see that there is my line there. So I've gone just a little bit bigger than that pencil line that I drew. So now if we get this and we pop that like, oops, probably the wrong way up. We pop that like so, it matches perfectly. Okay, so you're not going to see any of this. The next one that you've got to do is you've got to do basically the same thing again with the front of your card. So place your matte layer where you want it to go on the card, and then once again with a pencil very lightly draw around that square. And then what I'd like you to do is open this card out, and I want you to cut that square out. Safety first, where's my lid? There it is. Okay, so now we have our matte layer, which is that one there. We also have our top layer, which is this one here. Okay, and when we put those together, you're going to see that you can then see the inside of the card, and that's going to have that, and then the puppies and everything else on it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick my mats and layers down onto my card base. If it's slightly out, don't worry too much, because the top layer will actually allow for that anyway. So far so good. Next piece you need is this, I'll just get rid of these. You need the inside layer. Now this one is 6 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and you scored it at 1/2 inch. So that is going to be your tab. And what you need to now do is get your pattern piece, and you need to stick that on there. So I'll do that for you, and then I'm going to stick the tab. I'm going to center it, obviously, in the card, and then I'm going to stick that tab down so that this part comes up. Just a little mark there. I'll just see if I can get rid of it. Yep, there we go. Okay, so when I stuck that down, you'll notice that there's the score line there. I stuck it right under that score line, so right up to the score line, but not right to the center, because then that gives it enough space to actually fold over. Okay, so once it's done, you can burnish that top fold again to make sure that it is sitting nicely. Best to do it from the other side, actually. There we go. Okay, so there basically is your card, and now what you need to do is you need to start decorating it. Now, as I said, I have already coloured in my little puppy dogs. I absolutely adore these little creatures. I'm going to put the big one, like I did before. I'm going to put it just there. Now, when I'm putting it in there, I want to make sure that when it stands up, and you will notice that this is actually smaller than this card, and that is so that when it actually swings, it will actually swing properly and it will swing freely. So if you think that you're there's your table or whatever you're putting it on. It's going to swing freely, and you've got to get it out pretty wide before it doesn't. So, okay. So what you need to do is you need to be mindful that you don't put it up too high. This one, to me, was just a little bit too high. So as you can see, you can actually see some of the white down there, and that I'd rather it was down just a little bit lower. I think I'll put a measurement of 1 1/4 inches, but this is slightly different anyway, so let me have a little look. So that's 1 1/4. No, I need it to come down probably another 1/4 inch, just to there. So I'm going to go about 1/4 inch under that mark that I made, and just attach my little puppy dogs there. Okay. There we go. So as you can see, when you're looking through the window, the puppies are looking out at you. Okay. Now what I need to do, I really like this one here. He's got a little butterfly that he's chasing, and I think he's just up to a lot of mischief. So I'm going to pop him just there, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some greenery coming down from here, just to make it look like that there is actually a tree, and for people to realise that it's actually outside. What we're trying to create is something that is outside, not inside. I will then go and put some other puppies inside as well. So okay, so there we go. I will go away now, and I will do I'll find a happy birthday, and I will also stamp a sentiment in there, and then I will come back and show you the finished card. But I'm really happy with how that's come out. As it stands like that, it looks like the animals are looking through the window. They're slightly back from the window, so I think it's turned out really beautifully. So I'm extremely happy with this one. So I will now switch off and go and get my stamping done, yeah, I'll come back and show you the finished product. Thank you. Okay, so here we are back again, and the card is finished. I have, as you can see, put the beautiful little puppies in there. I've also put one down there. Now, unfortunately, if you're going to actually heat emboss this particular piece, this card base, you're probably better off to do it before you put everything down. I didn't, and you can see the sunshine didn't come out properly, but I will get a pen and I will fix that before I give it to anybody. But yeah, I absolutely love this. I haven't seen this being done by anybody else. If somebody has seen it, please let me know, but as it stands today, I haven't actually witnessed anybody who's done a card like that. So I'm pretty happy with it. Please give me a thumbs up down the bottom if you've enjoyed it. It isn't a difficult card to make. There is quite a few elements, obviously, that you need to master, which is the embossing and die cutting, but most of you would probably already be doing that anyway. I have stuck the thanks on with dimensionals. I was going to put happy birthday, but I couldn't find the one that I wanted. So yeah, I'm extremely happy with it. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and on the back I even put I had one left, so I thought I'd put him on the back. So I think it is extremely cute. There's the original one that I did, and you can see it does make a difference by having some pattern paper in the back. It just makes it look as if they're looking out from a room, which is the whole idea of the whole concept of it. So thank you for watching today. The puppies are available. I do have them on my website. So they're called the Adorable Puppies. They're a stamp and die set. They cut beautifully. And as I say, I just coloured them. You can just leave them black because you've got a lot of black when you actually stamp it. You could leave them at black and white and just have a black and white card. Entirely up to you. As you can see, this is actually a Merry Christmas one, but with dogs on it, you can use them for anything. So I've made it into a thanks card today, and I'm very, very pleased with it. So please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because that really does help. I'd like to thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. But in the meantime, happy crafting.